Welcome to the RPG Book Club podcast. On today's episode, we take exams and talk about our feelings. All right, hello and welcome to the RPG Book Club podcast, the podcast where we play long games together and discuss them in the moment. I am Sam Allman.
I am your local full Hierophant, Michael Rodriguez.
I'm sick, and also Elias Warren. If you hear cough drops rocking around in my mouth, please disregard that.
You know who's really gross? The people who like to eat cough drops casually. That's just gross.
No,
that's wrong, right? There's something wrong with it. Okay. I just wanted to calibrate with that because I met someone the other day that was like, I just like cough drops, and they just pop them in their mouth. I'm like, I got to get out of here.
They probably smoke menthols.
I absolutely hate this shit. I hate having to have them, but they're helping. So
That's fair. I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I should
Hopefully going through exams today will just knock it right out of your system.
Look, I'm way too sick to go to Tartarus, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
Right, you gotta rest for 2 days and then you'll be feeling great and you can get a buff to your strength.
2 days was like 5 days ago for me.
If only every cold could be gotten over by going to sleep instead of studying.
I know.
Yeah.
God.
Or you can actually get this item in, I think it's in like a vending machine, or no, it's at school. You buy it at the front desk at school and you buy it from an NPC. It's called Yawn Be Gone, and it actually clears the tired or sick effect off your character.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes. I remember first talking to the lady because you could first get like a book binding from her or something. Like I remember in Persona 3 was like something really useless. And then I just went to go check to see if you could speak to the NPC again. And there you go. It was a Yawn Be Gone. And it doesn't tell you what it does, but you use it anyway. And then it clears the effect.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Since we're talking on some mechanics things now, I went the first month. I don't think I talked about it, but I went to the nurse one day because I was sick, and I remembered when I was exploring, the nurse was like, only come back if you're sick or tired. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to him and he gave me some medicine that didn't do anything, but I was brave for trusting him, and so he gave me and that is the only time I've ever gotten courage. So it's like on my pause screen, it's like, oh, you're really smart and everyone likes you, but like you're timid and you don't ever do anything. That's the only time I've gotten courage. I was like, I have gone underleveled all the way through Tartarus. Okay, like I am very brave. I wish that getting the warning from Mitsuru where she's like, be careful on this. You might want to turn back. I wish that like doing that anyways, like not turning back would get you plus courage points or something. But
that's true.
I don't know if courage is ever important. I just like as a min-maxer, because I get stuck in the menus on every single game. As a min-maxer, I look and my courage is super low. I'm like, what can I do? Like every time I go to like the arcade and stuff, there's no like horror games. There's just luck in a quiz game. And I'm like, dang it. I just want to
you should go to
fix it.
The strip mall so you can go to the restaurant and have the burger because it increases your courage like that.
Every time I go to a restaurant and I'm not with Kinji or Kazu, it doesn't let me in.
It says the restaurant's full. I tried to as well.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember that. For me, I can just like go in anytime. Maybe it's because I'm a girl.
Maybe it's the days of the week too. So maybe it's like on Mondays you can go get a burger from blah 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 or whatever.
True. All right, let's go. Why don't we remind our listeners
where we left off?
Yeah, where we left off.
Okay, so the last thing we did, which I was really mad didn't have any resolution. Like I talked up like cliffhangers and stuff, and we didn't get any of it for this month. But on May 1st, where we just left off, Akihiko asked for a class roster for 2E, and me, Yuka, and Junpei all go along. We meet a weird shady dude in his room who's like cursing but is really friendly with Aki. We ask Akihiko like what's going on, and he's like, I know what it's like to feel powerless, and I don't want to, never again, which is super cryptic. And like that's where we left off. We hadn't gotten to our first dungeon, if you want to call it that, because spoilers, it's a single train car. There's no dungeoneering involved in it whatsoever. You just walk forward.
Yep.
But we got to we weren't to our first dungeon yet. We had just joined student council. It was really a lot of like build up stuff, and all of that build up pays off here right when we get started.
So Sam, what happens a few days after that, starting, I guess,
May 2nd, where we started today?
Yeah.
All right. So on May 2nd was the first plot thing that happened after we started this week. And the little boy visited me during the dark hour and was like, hey, the full moon's in 7 days. You'll encounter one of them, in all caps. He said to prepare, and then disappeared, and I couldn't ask questions. And then hold on. Because I wrote on 5/6, the rumor was about an elementary school girl at the shrine, but I went and I didn't see an elementary school girl.
Oh, I saw
her.
I saw her.
What happened with that?
I saw she. Go ahead.
She wanted a bun. She wanted me to bring her food, but I had no idea where the fuck to get that. So I was like, okay.
Oh,
bye.
I remember that now. Yeah, she wanted a melon bun, and you can buy those at the school.
Oh, okay.
At the cafeteria thing. So I brought her one, but I don't remember what she did. I didn't write notes on it. I don't think it was important. I think it was like a plus charm or something.
A social link.
So gosh, I forgot where you get the bun. You get a soda. You get something called like Mad Bull in your dorm's vending machine that you have to get. And
the non-copyright infringing names in this game are
like Mad Bull, and then I think I forget what reminds you.
So, not to interrupt you, but speaking of the names, there's one that, first off, is so 2009. I haven't thought about this in so many years, but it's called Sobe instead of the Sobe juice. And its description, it says, a fruit juice for people who like to sell things online. Like, because it's half Sobe, half eBay. And I thought that was the best thing in the entire world.
That's hilarious. I totally missed that one.
For the girl, you have to get Mad Bull, and you have to buy another bun somewhere. But I think it's at Paulina Mall, or maybe the Awatidai strip mall, or Iwatidai strip mall. You get it there. No, yes, it is at the same place where you get those burgers, but at the end of the plaza, there's like this little food shop that you can get food from, and you get the bun from there, and then you get the Mad Bull from your dorm, and you give it both to her.
Okay. I think that was different on ours. I think she just asked for a melon bun, which she got from school.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, which is probably just something different in the PSP.
My little girl was a demanding little bitch. If all you had to do was get her some melon buns, then I want a refund.
but yeah, I don't remember what happened there. It obviously wasn't like a plot thing or a social link, because I would have jotted that down. But I think it was just a quest, and I think he got like charm for helping her out or something.
Oh, okay.
But so then on Golden Week, I had the opportunity to either hang out with Kenji or with Kazu, and I stood up Kenji because our social link was already like level 6 at this point, and so I stood him up to hang out with Kazu, but I made fun of his clothes on accident, so I got no plus points. Like I hurt my relationship with both Kenji and Kazu on Golden Week, which was kind of the worst. Then right after that, Kenji asked out the teacher. Pause real quick. This is about the time in the game where our experiences will start to differ a lot, because if Eli decides he hates Kenji and stops talking to him whatsoever and just hangs out with Kazu, he won't see this Kenji stuff I do, because like most days, the two people come up to you at lunch and are like, hey, do you want to hang out with me after school? And you can click yes. And then another person comes and says, hey, do you want to hang out with me? If you click yes, it cancels your other plan, and you go and hang out with that other person. So
I will say, I hate Kenji. I hate him so much. But I continue to hang out with him, I guess because I'm a masochist, but mostly because it keeps telling me that, oh, you have Nekomata, so if you want to get better with Gimp Suit Cat Lady, you want to become better friends with Kenji. So
yeah, I have Jack Frost, who's an adorable little like bunny
He's
snowman.
like the icon of Persona.
Yeah, but I have like I made him by like try combining like a bunch of high level ones. So he has like all of my spells. Like he's like my powerhouse. So that's why I'm hanging out with Kenji like all the time. So I was like, man, like I know he's already at 7, but if he's at 8, man, Jack Frost will just be unstoppable. So
you know what's really funny is for the girl protagonist, I don't have to do with Kenji at all, and thank God, because I think that would be really fucking weird.
He's not in your.
I think he's like,
social link.
No, he's like briefly mentioned, but the thing is, Kenji's part of the swim team, right?
No, he's just the classmate.
Yeah,
social
he's
link.
a random ass classmate.
Yeah,
he's not. I haven't met him.
Yeah,
wow. He's not there for me. Instead, what comes in place is like I'm talking to this. It's like all of my social links are through like clubs, like tennis or the student council. And so like I don't have a Kenji at all. I don't deal with Kenji. No, my date. Wow. I have more social link. I have a social links with Junpei and Yukari, and so rather than Kenji, I think those two take the place.
Okay. Yeah, because
he's my magician. Junpei's the magician Hierophant. Okay. So that's like I think that takes the place of Kenji because I think Kenji's also a magician.
Yeah, Kenji's a magician, and the Fool, which is what you get with C's, you level those up like on story beats. Like you can't, I can't just choose to go hang out with Junpei, even though like I would love to like the level of friendship that I have with Kenji, I want with like Yukari, but I can't because I have to wait till the next full moon to actually hang out with her.
It's actually weird. Really easy for like in this version of the game for you to like go out on dates with Junpei or Yukari.
I'm like jealous of it.
Yeah.
The only date I've been on was the quest date with Elizabeth is the only one I did. And I did that.
I went on a date with her too. I went on a date with everybody. I'm a little hoe.
Nothing so far. Jeez, I need to step up my game.
Yeah. So that was Golden Week. I chose Kenji over Kazu. I know that me and Eli are both in Kendo Club. I don't think Michael is. What clubs are you in?
I'm in tennis, student council.
Okay.
And God, what is the last one? You can tell that like I don't give a fuck about the club.
I don't even have the opportunity to take a third one yet.
Yeah, so, I'm in Kendo Council.
Yeah, I'm able to take a third one. I'm in tennis, student council, and something else. I forget.
Yeah. The student council you're required to join, but I don't even think tennis was offered for us. I think we had track, swimming, and kendo were our 3 first clubs.
Yeah, so. And that tennis introduces a character that's like her name's Rio, and the story there is that she's like really passionate about tennis and she wants to be like really competitive, but all of her teammates are just like, oh my God, Rio, like why do you give a fuck about this so much? Like we're just here because we have to take a club, like we don't give a shit. And you know, and she's like really like soft mask about it because she's like she's like really aggressive with the way that she tells people that she like wants to play tennis or like why they should keep trying because they selected her as their leader for like their team, but she's like really aggressive in their approach. She really wants them to win and she pushes them really hard. And so my character plays like you want to be left alone, but I'm not leaving you alone. I'm not like sort of character against her. And so that's my experience. With tennis. Yeah, I'm gonna go check my social links right now to see which is the last one. We also have a foreign exchange student.
You just get like the fact that like yours is way more like visual novel is like really played up because like you have all these different relationships to keep up with. We just have the 2 so far.
I think that's because like the way that this game is presented is genuinely like a Persona 2 game. And so you don't have all the time that you would otherwise spend like exploring or looking at the world, you don't actually do in this game, because there's not a world to explore. It's like maps that you can select where you can go, but you're not actually navigating in spaces until you're in Tartarus. And so that's, I think, the reason why in this one it's specifically
it has more like of the visual novel gameplay in it, which is really cool. It makes me like, even though like I have never played an RPG twice, not a single one, even my all-time favorite ones, I have never like beaten one twice. Like I've done a couple like false starts, like Legend of Dragoon. I've played like the first disc about 5 times, but I've only played it to completion one time. I'm not really one to go back and do things twice, but like just hearing how different the PSP version is, and the fact that Michael is playing on my copy of the PSP version means that like I should go back and like play it, especially because like I can zoom through it because I know like the gist of the story and just pay attention to what's different and stuff.
Yeah, right now I have the tennis social link, which is with Rio, and then I have the student council, which is with Hidetoshi, and I don't like him. He's like such a prick. And he's like the kid who would tell on you for like having pot at school. And he and then finally I have another one, which is the librarian, because I help out at the library.
I don't even get the opportunity to help out at the library. I click there and it's like, do you want to study? And that's it.
Yeah, so there is a choice for me to go ahead and, because I do that too. I actually use the character to study at the library, but you're able to have another social link with a junior that works at that library there.
Wow. Like that's a lot.
Well, yeah. So instead of a lot of the, and so I think they just added more social links because there's so much more taken out of the game, and so a lot of what I experience as necessary components to like level up, like, or necessary hierophants to level up, like magician or even lovers, I just like spend my night hanging out with like Yuka or Junpei, and I'm good. So it adds it tells a different story in that you have a little bit more texture for the relationships, but definitely the way that you experience, I would tell people to probably play like Fess over this version, because the way that you experience the game, I think is definitely better than it is on portable. That's why it's called portable.
So that reminds me of something that me and Michael Webbin, he's a friend of the podcast, we were talking about this game when I was hyping up the podcast to him, and he was like, with Persona 4, they made Persona 4 Golden, which was like the definitive edition of Persona 4. It had all of the stuff that had come out from special editions and international editions and everything, and put them all together and put it on the Vita. But that hasn't happened for Persona 3. So like you have the original version, you have the Fest version, then you have the portable version, and all of them change things. And he was like, I would love for them to take like the Persona 5 engine, remake Persona 3, but have all the extra stuff they added in portable, all the extra stuff they added in Fest, all of that together. It just made like the biggest, baddest Persona game.
I would literally come into work with like female character cosplay, skirt and spear and everything, because the main character uses a spear.
Oh, nice!
That's so cool.
In this one, rather than like a sword. Yeah, it is really cool because I've only seen her critical hit once, and when she does this main character, she's maybe like 4 feet tall, lunges in the air like a dragoon, and like attacks, and I'm like, what is happening? This is fantastic.
That's so great. All right, so on Golden Week, I made bad choices, was a really bad friend, and then the next day after that, I finally hung out with Kenji, and he asked out the teacher, and she said yes, which started my really gross repulsion with Kenji.
That I'm actually not sure of, because Kenji said the teacher had like wanted him for a private lesson. So like I had this moment of, okay, that teacher should be fired, but oh, she wants a private lesson with you. Maybe Kenji's just an idiot. Maybe he's just reading too deeply into this.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought at the time. But then like, I kept hanging out with Kenji. And it seemed like, no, she said yes and wants private study, and they're probably back.
He's calling her Emily, which is given name, and he's not using any suffixes, which means that he's on a really tight relationship with her. It's creepy as fuck. And he at one point is like, oh, teachers aren't allowed to date the students. And I'm just like, oh, what? Gee, I wonder why not. Apparently this is kind of an anime trope, although usually it's like the trope goes that it's kind of seen as pure and innocent for a young girl to kind of have an older male mentor or teacher who she eventually falls in love with, and it's just seen as really sweet and innocent. This is obviously the other way around. Either way, if the teacher reciprocates, that's really gross. We're in 11th grade. Kenji is 17 at most. Not okay.
Yeah.
So
not okay at all.
These are one of these things about Persona that I kind of feel like is like the weird thing that you don't want to admit about your friend, but you have to because you like him a lot. It's like, look, hey, this is my friend Albert, and he has like a really weird name like Albert, and like this is Albert.
Sorry to anyone out there named Albert.
Like he kind of likes eating his fingernails, and he has an obsession with ska music, and I don't know why, but but he's a really great cook, and he's really nice. So like, just be nice. That's what I feel like this Kenji storyline is to Persona 3. It's like the thing that I don't want to tell people when I tell people about Persona 3, because there's literally a demon in this game that's in the shape of a dick, and one that has like a silhouette of a vagina. And I'm like, I would talk about that before I would talk about this social link with Kenji. And I'm so glad that I haven't experienced him in Persona. I'm gonna purposely find him in Persona 3 Portable.
Getting onto the dick boss thing. I mean, we haven't gotten to that quite yet, but our first boss sure is interesting looking, and fuck me, I forgot to take screenshots of it.
Yeah, I can probably find some on Imgur. It's as if this game has like a lot of cult followings and lots of screenshots. I found quite a few to put up on our Twitter last week, but might as well go ahead and get into that. So on the 9th of May is our first. It's not our first full moon because we had one for the Awakening cutscene, but this is the first full moon we get to play. And so it makes you go back to the dorm and skips all the way to the dark matter. And Mitsuru is the dark matter. I meant dark hour. But Mitsuru is trying to use her persona outside of Tartarus so she can scan, and it's not working. And I think. Yeah, so Aki's there with her. Because I wrote like just bullet points because I was playing at the time, and I'm trying to like reconstruct the scene in my head. So she's talking with Aki, and he's like, "You can't use your persona outside of Tartarus," and she's like, "Well, I'm trying to." And she finds a big one, and she mentions something that changed how I played this game. Because she talks about how not only do I have multiple personas, I can change them in battle. I thought it was like an equipment where like you have to decide that.
I figured that out. You didn't know that, actually. Oh my god, I knew something before you did. Holy crap, it's a miracle.
So I made it all the way to this point.
I hate you.
Like 34 days into the game before I ever switched to persona in battle.
That shit.
Now
you have to
crap out of it, and I like win every single fight, like with the knocking every person down and then doing the
all battle.
I was trying to think of a word, and I couldn't. Like bum rush is the word I was looking for. But that thing I used every single battle now, and I didn't before. I have no idea how I got to floor 15 without it. Don't even ask.
Either.
I don't want to know. Like, that sounds traumatic.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
So she mentions that, and I'm like, oh, okay, this game is a lot more deep of a battle. Like, I already loved the battle system without this entirely new set of depth underneath it, and now it's so much even better. So
I'm literally laughing at Yukari right now. It's so funny that you didn't know that. I think is this the point where like Akihiko's like, okay, I'll wake him up, and then you come into the room and Yukari's like, we're here.
Yeah. So what happens in the in the 3D D one is hilarious because Mitsuru uses her powers. They happen to work, and she finds this giant shadow over on a monorail, and she's like, Akihiko, wake everyone up. And he's like, okay. And he turns around, like his sprite does not move in X or Y coordinate. He turns around and presses a button to set off an alarm to wake everybody up. Like he doesn't doesn't move and like go and wake people up. He was completely useless to Mitsuru in that moment. She could have pressed the button. She was sitting at the console that he pressed the button on.
He's got one job, and he's gonna do it.
At this point, it's funny that he says that though, because I think if you're not playing the game, you don't know that Mitsuru is a little bit of a manager. And at this point in the game, mechanically, she's not even in battle with you. She's just over audio, or I guess telepathically.
Your cell phone, technically.
There you go. Your cell phone, I guess. And she helps you in the middle of battle, like by analyzing an enemy. You know that you can make her analyze an enemy, right?
Yeah. That's part of the tutorial. The tutorial did not say to change.
I skipped the tutorial. Yeah, no, like I skipped the tutorial. But yeah, no, she helps you by being in battle like that. But she's also the president of the school, the president council of the school. She's also the one that sets up these missions. Yukari kind of has a thing against her because she's a little bit strict. And so it's funny that in this position that that Mitsuru just like looks at Akihiko. She's like, hey, press this button. And he's like, all right, I'm doing my part. I'm helping.
Because he's like, all right, now do I get a fight today? And she's like, no, you're still injured. But it's been 2 months since he got injured on that first time.
Like a level 2 shadow.
Like, you would be too much of a burden to us. And I was like, wow, that's kind of harsh. Why don't you just be like, we care about you. I liked her
because of that. Yeah, Mitsuru is a Cap. I bet you think she's a Capricorn. She's like cutthroat. It's like all business. She's like, I don't give a shit. You're useless to me right now. I still love you.
So what I love about it is spoilers for like 2 weeks from now in game. Akihiko finally is better and joins your party, and he's a badass.
Oh my God.
He's crazy.
Where have you been all my couple of last months?
Like every time I would analyze an enemy and it's like, oh, they're weak to lightning, I would just like throw my controller because I'm like, well, fuck, I have to like survive this battle because I can't just cheese it with the one more system because I don't have lightning. But now I have Akihiko, and I was like, this is amazing. And then he has Dia as well, so he can heal people. Like he's all around a badass. I was like, why couldn't I have had him this whole fucking time? He's just sitting there with like one bruised rib, just needs to sleep for 2 days, and he could have come to fucking Tartarus with us.
He didn't like go to sleep early, so he was never rested for 2 months.
But he feels great when he finally gets in your party, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's at that point that my character, like after Akihiko hits the button, Junpei, Yukari, and I come in, and the main character comes in, and Mitsuru's like, okay, you guys got to go to this train station, and Akihiko's like, okay, you're the leader, and so you have a way of responding to it the way that you normally do, but after you accept it, this is like the craziest thing, because I didn't know that this was in this version, because this is not in the original, but and maybe you can tell us, I don't know if you remember what Junpei says. I think he just complains in the original. He's like, "Oh man, whatever."
Like, you've got a responsibility now. Sucks to be you, even though he wanted to be the leader.
Right. He goes, so Junpei goes, guess it's pretty much decided that you're our leader, huh? Even though I'm the only guy in the group. And this is when I start to like lose my shit, because I'm like, Junpei, what the fuck is your problem, right?
Like, I used to love you.
And I just didn't know. Like, I wish someone would have told me that you were a piece of shit. But I really like Mitsuru because she's like such a social justice warrior, because she hits Junpei with like and I screenshot this just to make sure that this is exactly what I was saying, but she says whether one is a man or a woman doesn't factor into it. The responsibility falls to those who have the gift. And then like he doesn't say anything, and then she goes, and let me add, if you ever say or do anything to condescend her because she's a woman. And Junpei goes, he starts to like backpedal, and he's like, oh no, it's not like I don't I look down on her or anything. and then like that was the end of the conversation. But it was crazy because this game came out a while ago, and they added that text in there, and I wasn't surprised at all that Mitsuru is the one that said it, because she's like, don't fucking say another word, Junpei, please. Like, please don't do this. I feel
like if that had come out now, like, there would have been a huge uproar from what I've been calling the status quo warriors over that sort of...
Yeah.
Over that... Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. They absolutely would. And that's the funny thing about it is I remember even in the original version, there's a lot of good themes and subjects that it talks about that many games don't. But I really do want to know like how people would feel about it like now if they saw it. Like if it would change and how they felt about the game.
The sad truth is the status quo warriors don't play 8 hours or 10 hours of a video game. So I don't think that they would ever get this far into it. Like
that's fair.
Those are all the like COD multiplayer types, like they do.
That's reactionary. Yeah, Dark Souls is and sorry to my
I like Dark Souls though.
Yeah, like nothing about
Dark Souls is good though.
Nothing about the Call of Duty or the Dark Souls or anything, but just the like the quote unquote gamer used to mean like you play RPG and stuff like that. But long like after Halo, like quote unquote gamers like kind of like were a breeding ground for the status quo warriors, and like JRPGs were still this bastion of like issues and stuff. Like some of them are still very problematic, don't get me wrong, but like they kind of like were like a dividing line between the like good people and the hashtag gamer people.
I mean, that's why I don't call myself I never call myself a gamer. I call myself a video game enthusiast.
That's fair.
Because I don't want to be lumped in with that crowd. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, no, that's the reason why I love Mitsuru, is because she's just like, Junpei, don't try it.
That's
don't
awesome.
fuck with me today. I can't do it. Yeah, it's really cool. But then we go to the train.
Yeah, so we go to the train station and we're waiting for Mitsuru, but she doesn't show up. Then she comes in on her bike like
on a fucking motorcycle.
Yeah. Like
in high heels, mind you. Yeah. She wears high heels. On a fucking motorcycle. I just want you to think about that for a second. And like even the characters are just like, what the fuck is that noise? And they're like, is that a motorcycle? Like, what are you doing on a motorcycle? And she's like, I gotta travel. Sorry.
That might be my
and so we're all like,
right?
So all of us are like, but wait, electricity doesn't work in the dark hour. And she's like, but my bike is special. Then that's it. That's all she says. She's just like, I'm a badass. You have to deal with it. Do you want me to analyze your enemy or not?
Calling it now, her bike is her persona.
Yeah, like I imagine Mitsuda's just like, oh my god, do you want to explain all the technology or not, bitch? Like, let's go. You have to go on the fucking train. Like, let's go. Like,
so she's like, the shadow is up on this monorail. You have to go up on the tracks to fight it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you start the first corridor of this quote unquote dungeon and you run down the tracks and nothing happens. And so you get to the actual train and nothing seems wrong. And Mitsuru is like, all right, go inside the train and scope it out. And we're like, but what if like something happens? She's like, no, it's okay. And turns out it's a trap, because every time someone's like, no, it's okay. It's always a trap.
But let's rewind for a second. And for the people that who aren't playing this game, the way that this, I mean, you are, the color of the environment is just green. It's like green and red. It's like really weird. It almost looks sick. I guess that's the best way that I can put it. And so you get on a train and there's like a really weird, eerie sort of, only that you can really experience in Persona S, because they like working with like solid colors and a contrasting color, as you see very obviously through Tartarus and through like this. And it's just really creepy to navigate around. And that really adds a lot of the story, especially when you compound the music that's playing in the back.
Feeling no pressure, but appears in the media. Getting jiggy with confound, this I'm telling you. Anyway you be from New York to Siberia. Cut up in your own beat and shake it every day. I'ma put it down, grabbing this crown. Lay your dollars on the ground, gonna double up now. 65 to 4 to 3, 2, one more time. Heavy punchline about to cruise.
A lot of it is just a really weird experience. It just gives the player a really eerie feeling that was really missing from the Persona 3 Portable when you're just working in stills. And so that was the one thing that I noticed the most was like there was like a sense of eeriness and dread that accompanied you when you were like walking down the tracks and when you were walking down the plane and you were like looking at the whole environment that just wasn't there for the portable version.
So the quote unquote dungeon for this starts when you're on the train for you. That's when you get to move around.
Yes.
Not even, okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so for us, like we have our weapons out. It's like we're in Tartarus, but we're on the train track. So we do get to like our dungeon is like one room longer of the train
running
track,
on the train tracks was super pointless.
Yeah, I agree that it's pointless, and it's okay that of all the things like that was on the chopping block, but it is weird that like you don't even get that like ambiance type setup. Like it definitely sets it up so like because it's to speak in case I don't know if you even said that in the first episode, but I have a degree in film, so I notice a lot of like storytelling and filmmaking things in video games, and in like the setup that they're doing right there is Mitsuru saying nothing is wrong. Everybody's saying nothing is wrong. Junpei is saying I'm a little bitch. Can I please go home? But everybody's like nothing is wrong. But like the moon is green, the ground is red. Like everything is wrong. Like you can see that something is wrong, and it's like leading you to like know that something crazy is going to happen.
There's
so
a contrast.
Weird.
Yeah, there's a contrast between like. There's in the game when you see like Mitsuru and all these people act normal, it's really you get like a really cognitive dissonance because what you see does not match how Mitsuru or Akihiko or Ikutsuki really respond to the situations. This is something that I really think that that's something that I really want you both to remember. But it's just it's a sharp contrast, and in terms of storytelling, I would argue that even though running on the train tracks was pointless, it does add to ambiance, and it did give more of a context of the world around you. Whereas for Persona 3 Portable, all you do is just get stills of the area, like, and then
in retrospect, it feels a little pointless, but at the same time,
you're in a train.
There was suspense building up, and I had anticipated running into a shadow while I was on those tracks, and I didn't, and there was kind of like a moment of relief where I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to find anything.
But that's by design. But I genuinely believe that's by design, and I really like that about it because that makes you feel like there's like something imminently wrong, and that to me just adds to the storytelling. And I think that when you look back and you're going back and you're playing this for the first time, especially back in 2016, for a Persona 3 game, this is not really. I mean, it's not odd, right? For something like this to happen, to sort of like grab at you or kind of play posse with you, to freak you out. But I definitely noticed that it just doesn't feel the same on Persona 3 Portable. I don't know if that's bad, but I don't think that it would have the same effect if I hadn't known how it was because
I knew I was probably underprepared. I had only gotten to level 5 of Tartarus before this happened.
Oh man.
Because I kept going through thinking I had to clear out every floor before I could keep going up in order to progress properly. Yeah, that was my mistake.
So in the end, you probably were about equal level as us because like we would find the stairs and be like, I'm probably not going to find a good item and take them up. Meanwhile, you would keep fighting. And so the fights that like we do, like say 3 fights per floor, you did 10 fights per floor. I was playing it much more like I would a roguelike, where I would go through and try to get through every single room, try to find every single item, fight every monster. And it apparently did get me prepared enough, as I found out. Yeah, I still my guys would all get tired before I could get through 2 or 3 floors, because I was just fighting so many monsters. And then when I finally took the approach of, all right, I'm just going to hit the stairs as soon as I see them, then I started making progress in Tartarus.
No, I say so. We are on the train and we're just basically we're just chasing Junpei at this point.
Yeah, so we show up on the train. The doors close because it's a trap, of course. And a shadow jumps down to like it looks like it's about to attack you. And I'm like, okay, obviously.
Yeah.
But then the shadow runs away, and I was like, okay, what is this? And Junpei is like, let's go get it, and runs off. And I was like, do you not remember the first time we went to Tartarus where she said, if you don't have a full party, you shouldn't be exploring Tartarus and fighting shadows? Why would you
He's too hot-headed. He's too brash. He's not going to think about that.
So, because he's so brash, Yuka calls him my favorite thing in the whole game. She calls him Stupay.
Yep.
And, it's great, especially like after we learned that we should actually hate Junpei last episode. Just calling him Stupay just made it
indicated.
Oh, it felt so good. So Junpei runs off. We get attacked. Then we make our way through the hallway. It's not really a dungeon. There are no branching paths, no items to find, no interesting NPCs to talk to. There is 2 shadows in every car, and we walk through those shadows till we get to the end. And Junpei's there, and he's surrounded. So we go and we help him out. Then a timer goes off because the train starts moving, and the train is going to crash if we take too long. Which I always love that. Like in almost every JRPG, they're like, oh, the world is going to end in 15 minutes, and it pops up 15 minutes on screen, and it's a 2-minute dungeon because they want you to still be able to do stuff. But just that feeling of like, I'm racing the clock. I don't have time to like use a persona in this battle. I have to switch and just do rush because the persona takes too long on animations. Like I gotta get in, get out. Like that feeling. Like I know it's artificial at this point. Like I've played Final Fantasy VI. I know that like that escape sequence where you can kill or save Shadow like is like 15 minutes of just sitting there at the end waiting for Shadow because like the dungeon is super short. Like I know that that's how it works, but this time was like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, I gotta go and hurry. Like I played straight into their hand. Like I love it. I love it so much.
I was very methodical about still using my personas because it was like the fastest way to kill everything is going to be just to hit them, where they're weak.
With their weakness.
Where I was getting frustrated was as soon as I would come out of battle, frickin' Mitsuru would come over the cell phone and start talking to me, and the timer's still counting down. I'm like, I could keep going if you'd stop talking.
Yeah, which is one thing that like that idea of like there's a text box on screen, you can't control your character. It doesn't exist anymore. Like nowadays, if somebody's talking to you, like they'll pop up with subtitles and they'll be walking behind you, and you can still be doing a thing. And it's like the future like fixed that. That definitely is a problem here, especially on like sequences like this, where just like, okay, I have a timer and I don't want to keep mashing A because I want to experience the story, but I also don't want to die because I crashed a train into another train. So you get to the front and your timer's still ticking, and there's a priestess, and her design, as Eli alluded to earlier, she's naked, but she has pasties that say BJ on them, which...
I didn't know her name was Preistess. I was just going to start calling her BJ.
Yeah. So she has...
Oh my God.
BJ has pasties on, is completely naked otherwise. As a boss, she was pretty easy. Like she has the shtick where she summons other ads, and you're supposed to take them down and then
she's also
hit her as hard as you can.
She's also spread eagle, by the way. She's got like a dress on, but so she's
there's a type of sexuality to a lot of the demons in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And so she's just kind of like sitting legs open with like a dress covering everything with the words BJ on her boobs, and you're like, there's no real context as to why. I'm pretty sure if we were to look up the actual demon itself on like Wikipedia, it'd either be referential to another demon or there would be some like type of lore behind it, as there usually is for a lot of the demons. And
and this is definitely a game that I feel would be better if I was Japanese, but that doesn't make it any worse since I'm not. Like,
right.
There's in jokes to like Shinto every 2 seconds, and like I don't know why praying increases your academics, but I'm sure that a Japanese kid would be like, oh yeah, of course you're praying to blah blah blah, and they're the ones that they're the god of academics or whatever. Like there's a lot of like stuff like that like I don't get, but like if say we were playing a Lord of the Rings game and someone was like, this is how elves work, you'd be like, okay, I get it, I buy into this world. So like with Persona, I'm buying into the fictional world that is real world Japan, and so it's like I don't know why these things are a thing, but like I accept that they are and I move on type thing.
Yeah.
So the fight itself is super duper easy. She summons ads for you to fight first, but of course, just like in every other time you see this boss, spoiler Eli, you're going to see this boss technique in every game that we play. Punch the main person, ignore the ads, because the sooner you kill the big one, there's no more ads that can get summoned, and then you kill the ads in like a turn, and your fight's over.
I made the mistake of trying to go after the ads, and I actually died on my first attempt. Second attempt, got through it just fine, but
yeah, so she was pretty easy for me. I was probably way over leveled because I had gotten to the top of Tartarus and then did a bunch of the side quests. I probably was on track to do, like if I was playing the original version that had required more grinding, they probably were expecting you to do all this stuff that I did, but and so it was probably geared towards that. But this one was dialed back some, so it was pretty easy for me. And then the train doesn't stop after you beat her, and so everyone is freaking out, like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And then male main character does this thing where his hands are in his pockets all the time, no matter what. So he just walks with his hands in his pocket up to the cockpit, pulls a lever, which is the brakes, and the train stops, and then he walks back, like doesn't say a word, isn't played up for like drama or anything. He just nonchalantly just goes and saves the day.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happened. Is they just pulled a lever, and then on this version they're like, yay, thanks, you did it.
After this you go home and everyone changed clothes, and I was excited, but it was literally just for the next day. Like everybody had a new outfit, but that outfit only lasted one day. Like Mitsuru was wearing like a black like trench coat type thing.
It's a weekend outfit,
but like I hadn't seen it ever before, and like I had talked to them on the weekends, and so like I guess like it's supposed to be there on every weekend, or maybe I just like studied that day or something, like I just didn't see it. But like everyone had new outfits, and I was like, oh my gosh, is like it going to change like along the like as we go along? And so like every like chapter per se, people get new clothes, but no, it was just for one day. So we're all excited after the full moon. I didn't take any notes of the like congratulations, but pretty much everyone was just like, we saved the city, the shadow sightings are down, everything is good, we're all the best. And so then the next day, I think, no, it's on 5/11, so it's 2 days later, Junpei meets me before class and says that things are getting intense, like with the boss battle, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And so then Mitsuru asked me to check out the equipment in the meeting room, and there's a recording on camera. And I actually had forgotten about this, but I'm glad I took notes. And so you go and you investigate the camera, and it's a video of Ikutsuki at the console talking to himself on the night of the full moon. And he wonders if, quote unquote, it's finally begun, and that shadows haven't ever worked like this in concert before. And then he makes so many puns that me, a father of a child, couldn't even deal with him. There were just too many puns in that. They're so
pretty
bad.
Awful.
I have the following note. Oh my god, I hate him.
They're pretty bad. Yeah. He could be a villain alone in his puns. And if
I took screenshots of his stupid puns and his stupid face, and I hate him.
Yeah. His stupid face.
Yeah. And so what I love is she sent you up to the console to fix it, and all I did was eavesdrop on Ikutsuki and walk out. There's no like, and then you fixed the console. You didn't do anything. You just were like, there's a recording here. That's cool. I'm going to leave it on and spy on all of my friends.
I looked that up. Apparently her saying go fix it is the game telling you that there are new videos to watch.
Okay. But
There's not
I
actually.
wish like all it would take is one more text box. Is like, oh, and you turned off the video so it doesn't waste space or something like that to be like you fixed it. But no,
I was hoping,
it's just videos.
fix the console meant, get in on this joke with me so that she wouldn't like.
I've been taping Ikutsuki secretly while we were away.
Yeah, I thought that was her way of saying just like this shit is funny. Look at it go.
I was worried when Ikutsuki first came up and he started talking about it's happening. I was like, is he evil? Is he going to say something evil? And then the puns started coming out, and I was like, he is saying very many evil things, but not in the way that I had expected.
Yeah.
Right after that, you hear that exams are coming up. So I pretty much went to the library after school and stayed up late to study for like 4 or 5 days straight. After that, I only took a break on 513 was my first time where because Junpei and Yuka both were like, "Hey, let's go explore Tartarus," and I finally said yes after all that studying. And the second block is really really pretty. I like it more than the first one. The first block is like old school diner motif, like it's checkerboard floors and like bright colors and stuff. But the second block is like purple and black with like crazy lines, and there's faces on the wall.
I love it.
It's really pretty. Yeah. And the shadows there, I thought hit like trucks. Like I wrote, I was like, the second block is really pretty. The shadows hit like trucks though. But I just happened to get into a fight with the lion on the wheel thing, which does hit like a truck because it's weak to wind and electricity, and Yuka never uses wind when I wanted to. And so like I'm playing on easy, I think, for the game, and on easy they give you like party-wide Phoenix Downs for if you wipe on a thing. So technically I've wiped 3 times now, but because I have that Phoenix Down thing, it can bring me back to life. So I used one of those just walking, like first shadow I run into on the new floor. I just am walking in and I almost wipe because it was freakishly hard. The next ones I fought were super duper easy, and that lion is a rare mob, so I've
run into that lion like 3 times.
I feel like in the portable version they did a lot of the balancing because I have not had a problem so far on any of the floors unless if I get hit first because I'm trying to like be lazy and run away from a shadow. Then they end up like doing an all party attack like a Mabufu that ends up making one of my characters weak, and then they get a whole bunch more. But I thought that it was like it's been relatively easy so far. I haven't had too much of an issue with any of the blocks.
Like I had my first struggle when I got into the second one, but by the time I had reached my first checkpoint there, I had leveled up enough that like I was handling everything like normal. So Tartarus is cool, but like we said in the first one, Tartarus is really just like where you go to grind. There's not a whole lot of story that happens there. The type of story that happens is Mitsuru will be like, oh, there's something crazy on the next level, and then you go up and there's a mini boss fight, but most of them are just big versions of stuff you've already fought, so it's very rarely like interesting to talk about. So we probably will just describe the new blocks every month, and that's about it. So after that I studied a whole lot more up until my day off before exams, and I hung out with Maya. I don't know if you guys
hung out with Maya
did
some
or
too.
studied more.
I don't have like the video game computer station. I just have a desk.
Really? That sucks.
Man.
Yeah.
Because so Maya's story right here, she opens up and she is talking about how like she's clinically depressed, not just like a sad person who plays video games all day, but like she is completely apathetic to her job. She comes home and she drinks her cares away, and she just plays Innocent Sin completely blitzed so that she can numb herself to the pain of her life. And like it was really like sad for me because I was like I get that. Like I have worked next to people who do that with World of Warcraft, where like they go home after work and they log on to WoW and they grab a beer, and that's what they do until they come to work the next day. And it's like like Maya's character just still feels so real to me. Like when she showed up, it was a joke and I laughed, but then it's like it's so real, and it's like it's so crazy because like in this day and age, like a lot of my friendships, like I met you in person in college, but we might as well just be a Maya and a Tatsuya on the internet, like just barely know each other through the internet, and I still like feel for these people and all that stuff. And so it being like she's not a joke character. Like she's a real character with real problems that are like on brand for Persona and stuff like that. Like that's super cool for me.
I also think that like, there's something to be said, right, about making this topic the primary topic about a character. When in a video game there are so many other options that you have in order to like keep a player entertained, right? Because they could have just kept it whimsical, they could have just kept it like really lightweight, but instead very quickly does the reality of that relationship show. And since it's all text-based anyway, I think that's kind of necessary. But I think that there is a lot of I think that I'm still shook by the fact that they introduced that subject the way that they did in the game.
Yeah. So after hanging out with Maya, we have exams, and I put a note in that a sign fell on the PE teacher, but that I don't know if that comes up later. I haven't seen anything about it, but like every time, because like on Old Game Plus, Melissa Wakefield, she like writes down what every NPC says. Well, she screenshots, but still, like she does what every NPC says, so that when something comes up, she can go back and check it out. And so like I'm like in that mindset while I'm taking notes, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be important. And a lot of times it's just rumors to make the world feel real, which like is awesome. But like it's frustrating because like I'm looking through my notes and I'm like, oh, there's a sign that fell on the PE teacher, and it's just like, cool. Like you don't have PE. You have never been in the gym if you're not in Kendo Club. But so you don't even know who the PE teacher is. So it will never come up. But it's just one of those things to make the world real, and it's awesome.
Yeah, the school's also filled with a whole bunch of gossipers. So, you know, like them gossiping about bullshit that may or may not be real is appropriate. Right. Is appropriate for the story. But like you go into school and everyone's just like, hey, fucking Yukari. And like especially like that's like the first thing that these horny little high schools are just like, oh my god, so are you sleeping with Yukari right now? Like it's like the first thing that they mention. So I like the fact that they add all of these rumors,
other rumors that aren't even important. Yeah. Like it just like there are so many things. Like I could go and write a Persona 3 fan fiction about a shadow that inhabits the gym and knocked over the sign on the PE teacher, and that's another fight we have to do. Like it makes the world so real that like you could see a sign falling on the PE teacher being important and being the like shadow you're going to be facing, because like that's what I was looking for after the full moon. Is I was expecting something like that, but like that's not where it went. It just had it there, which I thought was really cool.
I do too.
So then we had exams, which is the coma of this month. It's a way to skip 7 days without making
Thank God, and I needed it too this weekend. I was just like, I would have been late on this recording if I had to skip if I had to do like a whole other week, because Jesus Christ, that was a lot.
Yeah. And so just real quick, going through the exams. The first exam, it didn't let me choose. It just said I couldn't remember the answers, probably because my academics wasn't high enough. Then the next three I aced because I remembered the questions from class. The 22nd, I did not remember that question from class, but Google knew the answer. Hey, Google. So I got that one right as well.
I got them all right without looking them up. So good for me.
Wow, I'm proud of you. I did not. And what's cool is a lot of these questions were done like a test question would be. So like on your homework, it would be like, Abraham Lincoln was our 16th president. He was known for blank. And you would go like abolishing slavery. And then on the test, it was like the 16th president who abolished slavery was blank. And you would have to like know all the parts of the sentence to switch them around. And these questions weren't just the same question you had done like a couple weeks ago when getting charm points. They were like like exam questions where they were mixed around.
Yeah,
Things
one
like
of the
that,
things that I remember was like one of the teachers asking you like, what's water that has a high amount of calcium and magnesium, and or it was without high calcium and magnesium, and you answered soft water. And then the question in the exam was like, what's water with a high amount of calcium and and magnesium? And you're like, it's hard water. I get it.
Yeah,
It's like a good game.
There's just like little things like that just to make like it's so polished. Like it's Nintendo level of polish. Like Nintendo like goes through and every single thing in Mario is like thought about. Like especially Mario Odyssey, like every single like rooftop has some hidden coins on it. Like every single bit like they've thought about, and like it must be insane to be a QA on Mario Odyssey, because you're just like, oh, I did this. They're like, okay, but what about the hidden blah 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 blah? And you're like, there's more to this fucking level. But and like this is that level of thing where it's like, oh, the exams are going to be real exams. Like it's going to be like not just the same questions that you have to remember ABC. It's like you actually had to have paid attention. You actually had to be a good student in the world of Persona to be able to pass your exams, which is really
and
cool.
it's important to go ahead.
I was just
sorry
adding that I think the attention to detail is fantastic in it.
Yeah, I agree. Really, and it's also important to note that, when this first came out, the simulation of it all was not incorporated into RPGs like this, and in very many ways, it's still not. Right? We don't see very many RPGs that operate like this, but I think there's something to be said about this forced second person storytelling that makes you role play and that forces you to engage with the story insofar that you actually have to even answer questions about it. And I think that's really cool because it just allows the player to get into the story more without having to really fight it. And I think it was a really cool addition to the overall story.
Yeah. So after exams, I visited the old couple. I don't know if you did or not. Eli.
I didn't do that.
That's such a sad storyline of.
It's so sad. Like I've only done so I did the first one where I got the social link, and then the second one where I leveled it up. But when you go and visit him the second time, Bunkichi is talking about how his son never shows up at work, and he's such a lazy person. And you're like, oh, okay, so he's going to be replacing his son with me. And then his wife is like, hey, I apologize for Bunkichi. He's old. He doesn't remember all the time that our son died like 10 years ago. God. And I'm just like, it's like
it gets really heavy, really fucking fast.
I lost my son 2 years ago. So like just seeing that, I'm like, so this is two things like that just hit me so personal. So like I lost my son 2 years ago, and my mom has Alzheimer's. So it's like, fuck Alzheimer's for making you forget that you lost your son. Like that defines me. Like over the 2 years, last 2 years, everything I've done has been through the lens of a person who lost his son. So like just knowing like if I get Alzheimer's, there will be one day where I won't remember that. And it's like horrifying in a way that like two old people with sprites in a bookstore that I can't even move around in. I shouldn't be feeling this like deep of a reaction to text on a screen that's not even voice acted for their social links. Like it's just text, and it's so good. Sad. Like I feel bad for not going back there. Like I've gotten Kenji up to level 7, and I've visited the old couple once, but it's probably because I'm going to cry every time I visit the old couple.
Now I want to visit the old couple more because clearly they need friends.
Right.
Well, I mean, first of all, Sam, thanks for sharing that. That's a lot to share, especially over a podcast. And I really just can't imagine, what it's like to go through that. But I'm really impressed. I have played this game of a few times, and when I completely forgot about the story relation up until you started talking about it, and I was like, oh my God, Sam would like this specific story. Of
That's
course, he would like this
true.
story, but it is and it's like very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But man, is it a really? I have never seen a story represented like that in an RPG ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really impressive to me that that one, that you liked it, and two, that it kind of moves you in such a way, because really it was something that a lot of people, I think it's like that specific story can be easily overlooked, as could many social links.
Yeah, especially because like starting the social link wasn't like you walk into the bookstore and you get it. So like when I remember in our Discord, Eli was talking about what was the point of this bookstore. I just went up there and nothing happened. So you don't get the social link for free. You have to go and find this persimmon leaf and then take that back to them. And they're like, oh yeah, we planted that tree when I was in high school, and then that unlocks the social link to go and talk to them more. It's on the, so if you're walking back to the gym, there's a tree on your left hand side. Just press A or X or whatever on the tree, and you'll get a persimmon leaf and take it back to them. Yeah, super easy. But like, it's not a free one. It's not Kenji. It's not a club that you have to do. It's not like Yuka or Junpei or something. It's way off. So like the fact that, but like, this is basically like an innkeeper NPC in any other game, and they gave them like this like in depth of a story that's like heartbreaking and stuff like that. Just like, it's one of the things that makes me love Persona, not just because I relate to it, but like the NPCs have heartbreaking story. Like it's not just your main characters, which is what usually happens in JRPGs.
Which is what I love. Well, I mean, the game is about the whole, obviously Persona is a game about people. And so Persona and the, Persona series does a really good job at taking hooks and applying them spatially throughout a cast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The two other things that I want to talk about I just want to bring to note is that I don't find it ironic that they put this storyline specifically with an older couple, because there is an older population in general in Japan anyway. Right. So it kind of makes sense that we have this representation here. And in general, we see a lot of older people representation in Persona games, period. I mean, how much screen time do you get in any RPG that focuses on teachers alone?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's also like a really cool thing, that it's like really reflective of the culture. And how it's still really receptive here in America. And the other thing that I also noted was that I think this is one of the only social links where they actually give you items, like useful items that you can use. So that means that this is there's like a reciprocation between you and this older couple, which I don't think is also by coincidence. I think that was also by design. And so, but I do think that helps to enhance the feeling of you perhaps taking the place of their son who was lost.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of helps facilitate that story.
Yeah, I'm excited to go through it and finish it later. I know I'm going to cry the whole time. I might binge it and come back next week and have them like maxed out, but I might like relish it and just do like one a month and just like check in on them. But it was rough. But
yeah, I hope you do. It's a good story though.
So after that, let's see. So Akihiko joins the party after exams, and he says that Fuka is going to as well, but she doesn't. Like, still at the end of the session, we haven't seen Fuka. We just keep hearing about her, and I wrote a thing that like, now that I see Junpei through the light of the female protagonist, I wrote down a note that he's so problematic because he's like, I want to give Fuka private lessons, and Mitsuru and Yuka are like, dude, you're fucking gross. And he's like, what? I'm a guy. What do you expect? And in my notes I wrote decency. That's what we expect.
That's decency. We expect you not to be a creep. That's what we want.
It's funny too, because the male protagonist and Akihiko both, like, neither of them have that kind of reaction. So like, Junpei, where the fuck are you coming from here? Like, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
Let's see. After that, I wrote this note just because I I had gone into Tartarus. I got a shuffle that happened off screen. Like I'm really good at the cup game that the shuffle is, and then they gave me one that happened off screen. I was like, oh, this is really unfair. It's now like a complete guessing game. If this ever happens on like a double up or a card with death on it, I'll be really mad because it won't be like I'm good at the game and I did it. It's just like you just like the game decided that I was going to lose right here, and I didn't lose that time because it wasn't a double up, but like if that happens down the line as a way to make it quote unquote harder will be something I really don't like about the gameplay. I don't know if y'all ran into any of those because I only had the one.
I haven't had any shuffles that have happened like off screen. Like I've just had them not happen.
Shuffles that happened off screen?
Yeah, so it'll do the thing where it's like three of them in a line and then they switch places. And then before the last one, they go up off screen. You hear more shuffle sounds and then they come back. They come back down.
That's rude.
Yes, I've had that happen like a lot.
Yeah, it's super rude.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like it at all. I don't like, I have a feeling that this is one of the things that it's like, you don't like you have a full thing of persona, so you can't get a persona anyways. It's just coins and weapons and healing, so none of it really matters what you get, and they'll do that to you. I'll be really mad if they do it for like death cards and stuff like that. So far they haven't, but that's something I'm looking out for.
The worst I've had is where it's 2 cards and they just flip really quick, but like anytime it's done that, they always end up at the same spots where they started.
I haven't even noticed that.
I've seen that. I've had that happen a lot too. In fact, now I'm like so confident that when I only see 2, I don't even do anything. I just like press X and let them sit, like, and I don't even have to look. You just know that they are exactly where they started at.
That's awesome. So after that, we got exam results. I got a pretty high score. How did you guys do?
I got a pretty high score. Apparently, it didn't give me like an actual numerical value. So
yeah.
I got everything right, so I got into the top 10.
You got in the top 10?
Yeah.
You must have had higher academics, because I got everything right. But that first question, it said that I struggled with, which I think was an academics check.
Just an average.
Yeah, No, I was like, I forget where I'm at. I think I'm at the 3rd level of academics now. Yeah, I do a lot of time studying. The thing is, like, it's easy for me to do a lot of time studying because don't forget that you can go to the Paulina Mall so that you can buy some medical items because you're probably racking up a lot of yen right now.
I have like 35,000 yen, and I have no idea what to even spend it on.
You can go to Paulina Mall, go to the medical shop, buy some items, and then at one point you can just, when you buy Yon Begons, you can just literally sit in Tartarus for one sitting and farm through the area for like maybe an hour or so, and that'll help you catch up if you feel like you're like under leveled or whatever. So that's why I was able to like get away with doing a lot of academia.
You also don't really have the travel time either, because you don't have to like run around to places since yours is just a visual novel outside of Tartarus.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so like for me,
but like the Sam Allman is lazy, not main character is lazy. He's like, I don't want to walk all the way to the freaking library. I'm in the gym. That's like halfway across the school.
Yeah,
like you don't get that.
I fucking hate running around that school.
Yeah. So
it's actually better on portable.
Yeah.
Because like I don't have to get lost. I can, because it's all laid out for you, it's much easier to navigate because you don't have to like work within a 3D space, which is the funny part.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be as easy as it was, but yeah.
So let's see. After exams, Junpei flunked, and he's going to go and beg for a higher score. Meanwhile, Yuka is like, I'm glad exams are easy so I can focus on going to Tartarus. And I'm like, there's always two kinds of people. Junpei also apparently said something lusting after Fuka, and we haven't even met her yet. And then let's see what's next in my notes. So I did a social link with Kinji. He asked me about, he was talking about him and his girl and kept asking questions and letting me answer. Then he got to the end. He's like, oh, by the way, how are things with you and your girlfriend Yukari? Never mind all that. Like, doesn't let me answer. Doesn't let me squash this rumor and just moves on. I'm like, whatever. Mine and Yukari's social link is only level 1 right now. So if anything, you're my girlfriend, Kinji.
My link right now is like teetering higher with Junpei, but after his like latest outbreak, I'm like, you know what? I just can't date someone like you. Like, I'm sorry, I just can't do this with you, Junpei, anymore. It's over.
Yeah. So after that, someone came to the school and taught magic for 2 days in a row. Like, what even is this school? Like, why is magic like a real thing that people can come in and like not be laughed out of class and be invited back to just give lessons on magic?
Maybe they're just nice to like the American teachers and don't want to embarrass them.
Right. So I had another social link with Kinji where he went to he stood me up to go to cram school and said that he's really taking care of his life because his new teacher girlfriend wants that. And so I wrote in my notes, I was like, the pederast is good for him, question mark.
He's a mom figure, so yeah, probably.
It's so weird. So 529 coming up towards the end of the thing here. I hear about there's being bullies in school, and Yuka is the one that actually hears about it first. They're walking through, she's walking through the hallway, and she hears some people like talking crap, and it sounds like they're bullying Fuka at the time because they're from class 2E. That Fuka is the only person we know there. It could just be one of the 30 other people in that class, but it sounds, at least at this point, no spoilers, Michael, sounds like they're bullying Fuka. And one of them, like right after she says that, goes, "Where's that voice coming from?" And like spaces out, like she's like having like a mini bout of apathy syndrome type thing, and like that was really really weird. After that, I had another social link with Kinji. I pretty much just hung out with him all of May, it looks like. He says he's going to marry his statutory teacher. And then, let's see, on 5:30, the gossip was about an 11th grader who had passed out on the floor. And Yuka is like, oh my God, that's the girl that I saw that spaced out before. And so they found her on the grounds in front of the school, completely unconscious, and she's now still unconscious, like she's in a coma. And Junpei says that he's going to investigate and figure it out, and then Yuka calls him Stupé Ace Defective, which, like, Yuka's got zingers. Like, I'm loving it.
Yuka just takes every opportunity to assault Junpei verbally, and I love it. She doesn't give a fuck. And I still love Stupe.
It's so good.
I'm gonna just change that to my battle tag.
Stupe.
That's the Stupe. That's gonna be me.
And so at this point in my notes, I wrote a question, which is one of the ones that I wanted to ask Eli what he thought. It sounds like Fuka is maybe using her persona, because we know she has one already. Sounds like she's using it to fight her bullies, which like is kind of fucked up, because like bullying is bad, but using your magical powers to like put your bullies into comas is also pretty bad. So like I don't know, like obviously mechanically I will be taking Fuka's side because she joins my party, and I don't think that there will be a way to prevent that, but like I don't condone what she's doing at all. If that's what actually happened, it could be some other girl or something happening, and it's happening to Fuka too. So, like, don't really know. We still haven't met her.
Speaking as someone who was mercilessly bullied in school, this actually resonated a lot with me. When I was going through it, like I was bullied to the point where my parents took me out of the public school after my 7th grade year, put me into a private school, because I can guarantee if I had stayed in a public school, I would have killed myself. The bullying was that bad.
Damn.
I figure, hey, since you talked about something really heavy this episode, why don't I too?
It's a heavy ass episode.
It's on brand for Persona. So.
Call this episode Heavy Rain.
So that's something that immediately hit me as soon as I like saw these girls. I was like, wow, these girls are pieces of shit. And my first thought on the matter was, if it's Fuka, if she's using her persona to get back at these girls, good for her, because she's found a way to stand up for herself. On the other hand, as an adult, I don't think that that's the right way to handle it. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't.
Like,
Okay.
a coma is a little too far if that's what she's doing, like putting them like unconscious and in a coma for a couple of
Right.
days. But like,
That's obviously not okay. Like if I
if
had
she would have been like gluing the door shut like with her persona so they can't like come out of the bathroom and get late to
yeah, like
class,
I would.
that's
I would have
definitely more stuff.
if I had had a persona in my 7th grade year of school, and I had like found a way to get back at my bullies by like locking doors on them, or I don't know what, just like not intentionally like doing them physical harm, but maybe
You just
traumatizing
like be a
them a little
bitch back
bit.
to them. Yeah, like you would be a bitch back, right? Like why? Like if at any point in time you could have felt like you could have done something in back, like I feel like a lot of people would have. So like, yeah, why not? Like why not have been like, oh, I locked the door and just walk away?
Yeah,
like,
the whole reason I never did anything was because I knew I would get in trouble for doing anything.
Right. What if maybe she couldn't get in trouble, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if Fuka is doing this,
You do.
like if Fuka is doing that, I'm a little conflicted about it, because on one hand, good for her, she found a way to stand up to people who were giving her shit. On the other hand, she probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I do want to say this about those two girls. So what the text that was there, it looked like they were having a conversation with themselves, because at least in the portable version, she says like, and then I pretended I was going to take a picture of her, and then she freaked out.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think that they were, I do think that they were talking about Fuka. But yeah, I don't think she was immediately. I don't think she was in that area. I think we just overheard a conversation about.
Yeah, she was in Fest. There, like the only sprites on screen is Yuka and the two girls. Like Fuka's not there, but they're definitely seem like they're talking about her.
And the girl who heard a voice, that is the one that was knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that was definitely a case of the apathy syndrome showing.
Yeah. So just because we have to start wrapping up pretty soon and we only have one little bit left of the game. So on the morning of June 1st, where we stopped, Mitsuru mentions a sense of restlessness as you're going into school, and calls a meeting that night. And so we're talking about the girl that's unconscious, and the rumors around school are that it's a ghost. Yuka is like hardcore scared of ghosts, where like she doesn't even want us to talk about it, which is
fucking funny as hell.
Yeah, I
so
know.
funny.
Like all this other shit happens.
You're like, bitch.
and so Junpei, in his magical, he's going to win Yuka over, gets out like a flashlight, turns off all the lights, and is talking about the story like it's a fucking ghost story.
I just want to say that in the text version of that, it literally says Junpei grabs a flashlight from literally like out of no, you don't even know where he grabs it out of. Like you do not make out where he grabs this light out, this flashlight out of, and he just starts telling this story. And I was like, that's how it felt like when I was watching a game. But it's good to know that they actually wrote that. Just like, yeah, he just grabs it out.
No idea where it comes from.
Yeah, you don't know where it comes from. He just pulls it out of somewhere, and then there it's there. And I'm like, wow, it like breaks the fourth wall a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also like his story name, Junpei's Believe It or Don't.
Yeah.
All right, well,
it's the best.
The girl apparently went to the school the night of the incident where it happened, and a ghost attacked her, and so blah blah blah, and so everyone agrees that they're going to investigate and see what's happening, and they say we'll meet back here in 1 week, and the timer on the top corner says 7 days till the next full moon, which means that we're probably going to go to the school on a full moon, meet up with Fuka, figure out all of this stuff right at the beginning of our next part. But this is where we stopped it today, which brings me to a question I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think that we should realign now that because like we picked months when we were designing this podcast because there were 10 of them. We wanted 10 episodes. We're like, this will be perfect. But like story-wise, do you like ending right about here? Like every month will end with about 7 days before the next full moon. Do you like starting with discussion of a dungeon or ending with a discussion of a dungeon? So should we, like, this next time, should we stop on the first or stop on the full moon after the first?
I think so. I don't have a problem with starting the discussion with an end boss because there can be a lot, if depending on the boss, to talk about. Right, there could be a lot in terms of like lore or the fight itself, and by the end of a podcast like this that usually lasts an hour to 2 hours, ending with it could end up probably stretching it for a really long time.
Yeah, especially because we'd be going through and we're like, okay, it's 5:30, we have 15 more minutes, let's talk about the boss, and then suddenly Mike's late to go pick up his boyfriend and I'm late for band practice, and all of that happens. So yeah, I think starting it is probably good. So it'll probably be weird up until the I think January is when the full moon is on the first and first and 31st. So you get 2 full moons in 1 month. But until then, it'll probably be we end right before the next big plot point starts, which kind of works as like a cliffhanger. So like right now we're wanting to know like what's going on with Fuka and the bullies and all of that stuff, and we'll find out next week. But yeah, it was just something I wanted to ask if we wanted to realign it. Because like other games we do when we look up like, because how I'm planning on divvying up the episodes for like, say we did Legend of Dragoon, I would look up a guide that had like a table of contents and broke it down and then just see how many those were, divide them by 10. And we do like, okay, we're going to do these first 3 bullet points this week type sense. Thing. So like,
for sure,
those will all end with a boss fight, and there's no real way around it. But this one, I just want to know if you wanted to like go towards that or keep it on this one where we have artificial, like we know exactly where we'll be because it'll be that day, first save point on that day. So I think that's great. So we already talked about what we think might be happening with Fuka. Eli, was there anything you're looking forward to figuring out, or you mostly went on dates with Kenji, right? Did you do any other social links this month?
Other than Maya, no. I was hanging out with Kenji, and God, I hate that kid. He's I feel like he's delusional, but then I also feel like his teacher is super fucked up. And just the whole thing just really squicks me out. And I like I said before, if I had been a teenager in 2006, I was not. I was 21 in 2006. But if I had been maybe Michael's age in 2006, because you said you were 16 then, right? If I had been 16, I probably would have been okay with it because.
I know. I wasn't okay with it then. Okay. No. It was weird back then too. We were like, oh my God, what is that?
Well then, I don't know what to say. But
you are completely justified in how creeped out you are.
So, speaking of hatred for Kenji, so I have a thing where I hate all characters I've ever met named Kenji because
you mentioned that before.
So the first one came, I was playing through Katawa Shoujo, and Kenji is your roommate who's a men's rights activist.
Oh,
and
God, ew.
I hated him for that, and so I always think of MRAs as Kenjis, like as a nickname for them. And so
that's so weird to me because like the only Kenji like of note to me is Sailor Moon's dad.
So that's where I was going.
Nicest guy.
That's where I was going because I'm watching Sailor Moon Crystal as my first time actually watching Sailor Moon.
So excited!
And so I'm watching that with my wife because it's her favorite. And I learned that his name was Kenji on the episode we watched right before recording this podcast. And so Chibi Usa literally was like, "Thank you, Daddy Kenji." I'm just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, Usagi's dad is like the nicest guy ever, and his name is Kenji, so he is like totally broken your
my streak,
terrible Kenji streak. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else anybody wanted to talk about before we wrapped up?
Junpei, if you're listening, I still think you're weird.
You mean
please stop talking about women like that.
Right. But yeah, I'm just mostly excited to get in and do the next bit. Like I work nights, and so I can wake up in the morning and binge like 1 or 2 hours of Persona before like I even start my day. So I end up finishing the week's gameplay like on Thursday morning. So then I have to last until Monday not playing Persona, and it's like so annoying because I'm like, man, I want to jump in and play right now. Like yesterday, Scarlett woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like normally she wakes me up at 7. But I was up 2 hours early. I was like, oh, I can jump in and play some Persona. I was like, but I'm already caught up, so I have to go play Final Fantasy 15. Have to go play Game of the Year 2015. Final Fantasy 15.
I was complaining when Ken and I were recording our Let's Play videos the other day. Because I was like, oh, I'm sick, and I've got to go play Persona. And I even went like, oh, my life is so hard. Right? I have to go play video games.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the end of this part. If you liked what you heard, you can find us on the internet at pretty much everywhere as RPG Book Club. We're on Twitter if you want to talk to us. We have a Discord that's in the bottom link if you want to talk to us. And then if you want me to not have to pay hosting costs out of fee, we do have a out of pocket. We do have a Patreon where we post the episodes there, and we put up polls to like vote on what game we play next there. I'm not looking to make like bukus of money off this podcast. I literally just don't want to pay the $15 a month that it'll be to keep this podcast running. So as soon as we hit $15, and I'll be fine, because then I get to play video games, talk to my friends, and not have to pay for it. So sounds everything awesome there.
And don't you want to buy people like video games so that we can talk about them with you? Yeah. I think you do.
Yeah,
I think that's what like, you want to do.
Imagine if you donated some like really pocket change, like $100 a month, like that could afford all of us to buy a copy of like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and we could play like brand new games instead of old ones that cost $10. So
pocket change,
really.
Pocket change.
But I do want to shout out, we do have 2 patrons already, like 1 episode in. So it's just Steven and Christina. If you're listening to this, like, thank you so much. Like, we really are we just wanted to play video games, and you guys are helping us out. So that's really, really cool.
Thank you so much.
What can we say about you guys that isn't already shown by your commitment to Patreon?
Yeah, you're really, really beautiful and talented and wonderful.
All of you.
One thing I wanted to add too, I'm actually an artist as well. I'm willing to provide art if we have a higher tier of Patreon supporter at some point, as a special thank you gift. Something like, art related to the games that we're playing that I would post specifically for our Patreon supporters. So if that's something you guys are interested in as well, feel free to let us know. I'll link somewhere samples of my artwork. It's all pretty simplistic stuff. It's mostly characters, but if that's something that we'd like to do, I'm certainly willing to offer that as well.
For sure.
I don't have any talents to offer.
You have the talent of you've played every Shin Megami Tensei.
I'm just a talentless feet warmer. That's what I am.
But so that's it. Also, I talked over Eli earlier, so make sure you follow him on YouTube if you want to, at Sailor Eli. That's where he does all of his Let's Plays. So if you enjoy his commentary on games, you can go watch him and Ken be angry that Earthbound is hard.
Oh God, I'm so mad at Earthbound. It's a great
Such a
game.
good art style, though.
It's a great game, and I'm mad at it because it's so hard.
All right, but that'll do it for this week. So we'll see you guys on, that would be July 1st in game next week.